So much like the first season, we're gonna knock off all these tropes right out of the gate. How's everyone doing today, guys? My name is D Codes, and this is Amphibia episode 23A, Truck Stop Polly. It's not a road trip without a truck stop, right? Yeah, this is... And I'm pretty much at the point of the series where I feel like we had the weakest episode past this. Like, in my opinion, the weakest episode was the one with Sprig, Sylvia, and them on the boat because of what Sprig was like in that episode. That, in my opinion, that's the low. That is the lowest point of the show, and it's not even a terrible episode. Like I talked about it, like how it wasn't, okay. So I mean, I say this because even though the title, it says Truck Stop Polly, you know exactly what you're gonna get in terms of like overall thinking, because it's like, well, it's Polly at a truck stop. You can imagine what she can do with that. But even with that title and with that assumption, you know they're gonna do something crazy and good. And that's exactly what I was like, okay, what are you gonna... I'm like, okay, what kind of crazy thing you're gonna do with this? And it gets kind of crazy. So, and again though, I feel like I missed an episode, or maybe just, so, the whole thing starts when the family is riding late at night, and they're in this spooky part of the forest, so Polly is scared, as we've learned from the night at the inn episode with the bullfrogs, and so she gets scared, and so she wants Hop Pop to read her a story, but Hop Pop is obviously on top of the wagon steering Bessie, so he can't. Or no, he's actually no. Anne and Sprig are driving Bessie. Hop Pop's sleeping in his bed, but so Polly comes in and asks for him to read her a story, and so he at first starts reading it, but then he falls asleep pretty much. And his comedic, he leans back into just gigantic mouth yawn, just snoring thing. So Polly decides to just have some fun. She gets a little hectic. She's like, "Hey guys, what do you want to do?" And so of course it leads to Anne and Sprig messing up when they're steering Bessie, and they crash. So Hop Pop wakes up, gets angry, takes the rings, and so and then Polly continues to go a little crazy. She's like, "Hey, who wants to bathe me?" And I was like, "Okay, that was weird." And then she was like, "Hey, remember back at home we used to do this static jump?" And so like she does the equivalent of rubbing her feet on the carpet to deliver a static shock, but because she wanted to take a bath, she then caused the bucket of water to spill, so there's water all over the place, so obviously electricity and water equals... So that's kind of what happens, and the family obviously snaps at her, and Polly's like, "Well, you guys weren't like this at home," and I'm like, when did we do this? When did we do the equivalent of rubbing feet on carpet to create static shock? I was like, what? I mean, that, again, I don't know. Maybe it was... It's weird. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. It's just the fact that they mention this and they say, "Well, we did this back at home." Like, when did you do this back at home? Like, we didn't see that. But Hop Hop obviously said, like, "Well, we're not at home, we're on the road and all that." And so they go to a truck stop because, with everything damaged, they have to take a breather. And Hop Hop tasks Polly to go grab some paper towels. So she goes into this truck stop, grabs paper towels, and as he's coming back, she's overhearing the family, saying, like, "God, what's up with Polly?" I mean, it's like, yeah, she's a little yeah, she's getting a little hectic. And Hop Pop's like, she's just homesick. And then he's like, maybe he's like, I knew this was gonna be a tough trip for her, being away from home this long. Maybe I should have just left her with Mrs. Croker. And of course, Polly overhears all this and feels hurt by it. So she's like, "Well, I'm not gonna stand for this." And she's like, I'm just gonna switch myself out with this purple rock here and put it in the wagon and just wait for you guys to come running back to me. I'm like, okay. I mean, for her case, you know, it's like she's a kid. I'm trying to think of the Sprig episode. I'm thinking of the Sprig Sylvia episode right now. Okay. Like, for Polly, I get it. She overheard the family misunderstanding thing. She's a tadpole, so she's technically a kid, so she has to. Of course, she would feel hurt by this, and so obviously, this plan of her wanting to prove that she's worth more to the family by having the family go back for her was pretty funny. Although I like how there's this purple rock that looks kind of like her. She puts it in the wagon and then she just waits for the family to leave, and she's like, they'll come back any minute now. Any minute now. Oh my god, they just left me. Or he pretty much that. Like, so she freaks out and he's just like, well, this is my life now. And she's just here at the truck stop, and I like how she goes inside and just immediately starts bantering with all the truckers. One of them voiced, I'm pretty sure by D. Bradley Baker, because he has the clone. He has the voice of the clone from the clones, excuse me, from Star Wars: The Clone Wars. Like, he does have that voice. He does have the voice, and I'm like, that's gotta be him. And obviously Polly is just hanging out at the truck stop while the family's in the wagon. They still don't notice that the egg is Polly, because Polly put those whatever sleeping blindfold thingies. I don't know what they're called because I don't use them, to pretend that she's asleep. And obviously the family they feel really bad, even though they didn't think Polly overheard everything, you know, just like, you know, maybe we were a little too hard on you. Sorry about all that. We're just so stressed, and we get it that you're homesick and all that. And so obviously they're talking to a rock. But then Polly finds out, no, it's not a rock, because I'm like, wait a minute, and so apparently this is a frog. They said it's an egg of a bird that eats frogs, and I'm like, wait, so you had that lying there just as a door holder and stuff? I'm like, yeah, actually, you know, what am I talking about? At this point, why am I surprised by that? So, you know, of course, Polly's freaking out, and funny enough, Soggy, he's not Soggy Joe. Or is it Soggy Joe? Yeah, it's Soggy Joe, or the Australian Steve Irwin, or amphibian Steve Irwin, pretty much. He's there, and, you know, Polly's like, can you give me a ride? And then he takes off his hat and just puts on another hat of a trucker's hat, and it's just like, I'm not Soggy Joe, I'm Speedy Joe. So they get in this truck and they go run it, and they get moved. Well, I mean, truck, it's a Beetle with, like, obviously you have, like, your flat back. So, flatbed, I mean, yeah, you have the main Beetle on the truck, and then you have the flatbed behind it. So they're moving, and then as they're moving the wagon, back of the wagon, and Sprig and Pop notice that the rock is hatching, and so the bird comes out, and obviously that doesn't lead to good. That's not good. So Polly and Joe, they luckily are able to catch up, and Polly sees the bird, and this is the part where it goes absolutely insane, because so when Sprig and Hop Pop were fleeing from this creature, the bird got wet. So Polly then creates a static like she notices that the seat she's in is kind of carpet-like, so she rubs her body on it, and so she basically creates this gigantic static shock. Like, literally her body just lights up. And it goes full on anime, because she launches herself at the bird, I think Soggy throws her at the bird, and you just have that classic shot of her flying there. It's just like, that's pretty much gonna be my thumbnail for this, by the way. And you just have the, like, she's there, and boop, boom, I love this. I love these. I love it when it's so grounded for times, and then it just goes completely insane. I just love it. But so Polly saves the family from the bird. The bird doesn't get killed though. The bird loses all its feathers, basically turns into a gigantic turkey for Thanksgiving. But this part creeped me out, and I was questioning it. I'm like, it still flew away. Like it's literally this. It's think of a turkey that you see in cartoon, like a turkey dinner you see in cartoons, but with the head. That thing is flying away. Like literally, it's flying away, and I'm like, you have no feathers. Your wings are literally ready for dinner. How are you flying? I don't know. It's driving me nuts. I'm like, why did you leave that in? But obviously the family, they make amends. Polly's like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have left you. I just felt like I didn't. I just felt like I didn't. I felt like I was playing kind of dead weight and stuff like that. I get why, and obviously the lesson of the episode. I mean, I really gotta stop hating on hating on that, because again, it's a kid show. You gotta have lessons. You gotta have them make it obvious. I mean, Gravity Falls had lessons. Every kid show has to have a lesson. I mean, some kid shows are more subtle with their lessons than others, but honestly, this makes, I don't really mind this. I really don't. I feel like they're entertaining as heck, and I just love these episodes. And I mean, this is episode 23A, of season 2. We're 5 episodes in, and this is already a very exciting season. I mean, it's just amazing how we've come so far. Where there was a time where the first season first seasons of shows were very iffy. Then the second season were pretty solid, and by the time you get to the final season, they're like freaking amazing. Like Avatar was like that because Avatar the first season, there were some good moments, but many agree it was a little bit shaky. Season 2, there were more episodes, although a few were very shaky. Season 3 was just like, most of it was like, oh my god, this is awesome. This second season's already hilarious. Even though some of it's filler, I'm just having a blast. I'm really having fun with this. And I love how, yeah, it's just crazy. Okay, that's all I got for this one. I'm sorry.